Good day everyone, and today I will discuss the chapter 5 entitled Ownership and Structural Forms of Business Enterprise. So, types of ownership in business. So, ownership is a legal term. Most commonly, it means the legal title to things or control over the thing owned. The right of possession and disposal. As applied to business enterprise, the term ownership means title to and possession of the assets of the enterprise, the power to determine the policies of the operation, and the right to receive and dispose of the proceeds. So, business enterprises, from the point of view of ownership, fall into three broad classifications. So, first is private ownership. So, it is when an enterprise is so organized that private individuals exercise and enjoy the rights and privileges of an owner in their own interest. The ownership is said to be private. And the second one is public ownership. So it is when the organization of the enterprise and management is controlled by political bodies as a municipal, provincial, or national government, or by any instrumentality created by them. So we have public ownership. So the third one is mixed ownership. In this, mixed ownership exists when elements of ownership is divided such that private person and public bodies share in the operation of the same enterprise. So there are forms of private ownership. So privately owned industrial enterprise may take five basic forms. These are first, individual or single or sole proprietorship. Second is partnership. The third one is cooperative organization. Fourth is corporation, and lastly is the corporate combination. So, any business enterprise may be organized according to any of the above mentioned forms. So, the choice, however, depends upon a careful consideration of a number of factors, among which are the following. A is the natural and size of the business to be started. B is the capital required and the means of procuring it. C, the length of the time the enterprise is expected to operate. D is the technical condition affecting the enterprise. E is the type of products to be manufactured. F is the method and volume of production. Then G is the kind of markets to be supplied and methods of marketing. And lastly is the competitive nature of the chosen industry. So, the individual or single proprietorship. So, it means that the single individual promotes the enterprise, gets together the necessary land, buildings, machinery, and labor, and conduct the business in person. So, he owns the business outright. So, many enterprises start in the sole proprietorship. Later, they expand in larger form as business prospers and the increased resources of owner permit. So, we can say sole proprietorship when only the one person owns the business. So, it is simple, requires little capital, and can be quickly established by a single man. So, the sole proprietorship or individual entrepreneurship is the most well-known and oldest form of ownership. So, there are advantages of single proprietorship. So, this form of private ownership offers certain advantages such as it is easily to start and to determine. So, anyone who is able to take independent action can start a business. So, before he opens the door to his business, all he needs to do is secure facilities like quarters, supplies, goods, and equipment. Second is control or management lies entirely in the hands of the owner. So the owner has full control over the business. Because of the quick decision making and freedom of initiative, he can make the most of opportunities. He feels proud of his work and satisfied with this accomplishment because he knows that he owns and controls the business. So he experiences pleasure and security as a result of his enjoyment of independence. So the third one is only small amount of capital is required in the starting. So men with great ideas but limited resources may be able to easily start their own businesses through the single proprietorship model. So he could start the business on his own with the possible exception of the business license, fee and compliance with few regulations. So profits belong entirely to the owner. The owner has every incentive to give the business his best effort. So people are still most motivated so succeed in business by the profit incentive. So there is a significant advantages. So high credit standing, anyone who lend money to a company by one person. So some by focus on the ownership person's resources rather than a company's value. So in contrast, granting a corporation credit must be entirely contingent on the company's ability to repay the debit. So there are also disadvantages of single proprietorship. So there are also certain shortcomings for this form of ownership. Among these are, so first is the limited judgment and wisdom. So the ownership judgment may not be sufficient to promote the business because he or she is alone. So two or more heads might not be as good as one. So the number of tasks and their complexity may become too much for one person to handle as a business grows. So limited amount of capital, the proprietorship frequently encounters difficulties in obtaining the necessary capital for a large business. So this is clearly a disadvantage unless the owner has extensive option of his own. So unlimited liability. So all of the company's debts fall on the owner, and the creditors may take other assets not owned by the company. So, creditors of his commercial enterprise may pursue his real estate, so bank deposit and other properties in the event of its failure. So, difficulties of management. So, a sole proprietorship is typically a small business. So, the owner is in charge of a wide range for tasks like purchasing, merchandising, providing credit, financing, hiring employee, and so on. So next is partnership. Inherent limitation and drawbacks of a sole proprietorship have led to the development of alternative forms of ownership as businesses expand and develop. So the partnership organization is formed. So based on the Article 1967 of the Civil Code defines a partnership as an organization where two or more persons bind themselves to contribute money, property, or industry to a common fund with the intention of dividing the profits among themselves. So partnership may be classified as object or as a liability. So as object, a partnership is either universal or particular. A universal partnership or property is one where the partners contribute all their property into a common fund, so with intention of dividing it as well as its profits among themselves. So a universal partnership of profits comprises all that the partners may acquire through their industry or efforts. So as to liability, in terms of liability, Philippine law recognizes two types of partnership. So the limited or special partnership and the general partnership are example of this. So the general partnership, a business partnership, is a relationship between two or more people who are authorized to enter into contracts in order to carry out a business activity. So as such, the partners who have of the partnership don't have their own legal identity. So there are agreement and control of partnership. So the formation of a partnership company is no more difficult than of the sole proprietorship. So the partners outline the business, outline their rights, decide how many shares each partner will have. So how the partnership will be divided and set other terms and conditions for their joint venture in an oral or written agreement. So without a written agreement, more agreement is sufficient to establish a partnership. So there are advantages of partnership. So several advantages of a partnership over the single proprietor are it could be easily formed as a single proprietor. So its formation could be written or oral. Partners merely outline the activities and then it can start the operation. And the second one is there are more personnel to conduct the business and to handle its problem. So as a result, the company can be run a larger scale with more people sharing in the benefits and taking into the risk. The third one is a partnership has access to greater or better credit facilities. So banks and credit institutions are willing to lend more money with two or more partners assume unlimited liability for the partnership's obligation. So credit can be used to purchase supplies and raw materials. Then the fourth one is the combined ability and resources of the partners are a source of land. So the partners' collective judgment helps to better solve business issues. So, as each partner hopes to make money, there is a stronger incentive for them to put in their best effort because efforts and rewards are closely linked. So, the fifth one is retention of valuable employees. So, changing from sole proprietorship, ownership to partnership, and ownership gives a sole proprietorship the chance to keep a valuable employee by making him a partner. So it also offers the same opportunity to existing partnerships. So despite the requirements for a brand new partnership agreement. So there are also disadvantages of partnership. So unlimited liability of partners. So each partner is responsible to creditors for the company to total debt, not just for his share of the business. So this is a legal requirement that restrict the amount of risk the company is willing to take. So this agreement between partners often lead to delay and difficulties which could endanger the enterprise. So some of the committee's weaknesses were previously mentioned as an exit strategy in a partnership. So as a result, in a partnership with many partners, delays, compromise actions, and other shortcoming in the decision making may occur. So easy dissolution, the partnership is automatically dissolved upon the death, sanity, or insolvency of a partner. So this is due to the fact that law views and partnership as a personal relationship. So frozen investment, it goes without saying that joining a partnership is simple but difficult to withdraw funds from. So the limited partnership. So limited partnership was involved in order to avoid the general partners and limited liability in general partnership. So there are two types of partners in a limited partnership: the general partners and special partners of limited partners. So general partners who have unlimited liability. So they manage the operation of the partnership. So the limited or special partners have only limited liability, which is up to the extent of their investment. So the advantages of limited partnership is the limited partners has the following advantages. So first is there is a single direction of management, thus there is a unity and prompt action. So second is the limited liability of special or limited partners serve as good endorsement of investment resulting in large amount of capital to carry on the business of the partnership. So there are also disadvantages of limited partnership. As there are advantages, there are also disadvantages. So among them are the unlimited power given to general partners may result in abuse. And the second one is there is the possibility of collusion among the general partners to defraud the creditors and limited or special partners. So there are kinds of partnerships. So there are some kinds of partnerships. So first is the general partner. So early referred to. Second one is limited partner. So third one is capitalist partner who contributes money or property to the organization. The fourth one is industrial partner who contributes his service, talents, skills, and abilities but not property. So the fifth one is managing partner who administers the operation and manages the business directly. So there are lots of kinds of partners. Liquidating partner, ostensible partner, secret partner, silent partner, tenth is dormant partner, and last is the nominal partner. So the next is the senior and junior partner. So when we say a senior partner, it who has a substantial investment in a firm who receive a relatively larger percentage or the profit. So who by virtue or age and years of association with the firm assumes a major role in the management. While a junior partner, it is the opposite of a senior partner. Normally, he is a young man only recently admitted to a partner status. He does not have very much money invested, receive only a minor share of the profits, and is not expected to assume responsibility of major decision. So, next is the cooperative organization. So, a cooperative association has some elements of a large partnership and also many features of a corporation, although it is distinct from both. So, the principal theory of the cooperation association is the elimination of profit as the controlling motivation and reduction of certain economy's evils. So, there are kinds of cooperative organization. So, cooperative organization fall under four general classification. So, the first one is the customers cooperative. So, this cooperation organization usually draws its member from the general public. So, it is a familiar form of cooperative as most cooperative stores are consumers cooperations. So, next is the producers cooperative. So, in this, cooperative draws its membership chiefly from the producers of grains and other farm products such as livestock, fruits and dairy and products. So the next one is the marketing cooperative. So closely related to the producers cooperative and often merge with it into one organization. So is the marketing cooperative. So the next one is the financing cooperative. So in this cooperative association makes possible for people of small means to acquire a home and to borrow money for other purposes at relatively low rates of interest. So the next one is to tackle the principle of cooperatives. So first one is open membership. Second is democratic control. Then the third is limited interest to capital. And lastly is the patronage for fund. So the next is we tackle corporations. So when we say corporation, it is the artificial being created by operation of law having the right of succession and the powers, attributes, and properties expressively authorized by law. So nature and characteristic of a corporation. So the corporate form of ownership possesses characteristics which make it adopt mentioned are so the characteristic that may be it is an artificial business unit and its creation is through the process of law. Then second is the basic structure of corporation is simple. Then the corporation organization is of wide scope. Then the existence of a corporation is practically permanent by operation of law. Thus, the last one is the function of a corporation is public. So next, we will tackle the difference between partnership and corporation partnership. Partnership is a business relationship. It is also identical with the people who own it, while a corporation by due process of law. So in a partnership, unless you are a limited partner, each one is liable to creditors for the whole indebtedness of the firm. So not merely to his proportionate share in the business. So while corporation, it is an artificial business unit and its creation is through the process of law. So by the process of law, it operates through delegated authority and responsibility. It is of a wider scope since it results out of the combined resources of the members. So it has also limited liability for its owner. So that would be all and thank you.